about, oh, the development subsidies. Now it was like my taxes. And so it's really hard because we're hearing it, and there's three of us.
I mean, I ran 2 years in a row, and I can tell you that the last 2 years, the number one thing that every single person who I talked to said was my property taxes.
Yes, me too.
And I think that it is becoming a community that is totally unaffordable, and not just unaffordable for lower income people, it's becoming unaffordable for middle class families, and I don't think that that's what we're going for. So I think that's our job here, is we have to make some really hard decisions. And is it the natural turf contract? I mean, I think that that's a great place to start, but I think giving a number and figuring out what can be done from that number is where we need to start moving that forward. And maybe it's 50, maybe it's 100. But I mean, because what are we at right now on the list?
I just want to say one more thing as you finish, if that's okay.
So we are 75.
The school, we also are part of a larger community, and I feel that to show good faith to our partners and be collaborative, when they need money, we all have the same pie. And so I've always said that, I do believe that. I also feel like I want to just say to everyone in the room, from the 3 sessions I held with the public this week and last week, everybody wants to go after employee benefits, okay? So the intent of the residents is to get a cut. And I don't think anyone sitting around this table has that intent. You know, that's not the first place you go as a government agency. We've heard it from everyone, at least, you know, at one point or another. I have no intent for that. So I much prefer that if I know the residents don't care, they just want their tax bill down, then I need to find a way to get that done. Or else, you know, we're putting people, I just feel like that's the, you know, let's figure it out. But if it means less animals, I'm great. You know, like, I can explain that to the residents. I don't think they're gonna come and pitchfork me. But if it's, you know, if it's nothing, if we can't get there, then it's gonna be like, you didn't go after the benefits. And it's like, well,
I don't think anyone said we're not gonna get there.
I know, I hope so.
I'm
Well,
just
we'll
passing
get
on.
there.
Yeah.
We got almost 200,000 in
I
studies.
think all I said in my summary was that, and I'm not trying to be defensive, but I just wanna like reframe. No, but all I said is that I've heard that the natural landscaping is really important to people with kids.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Right.
That's all I wanted to
I'll
pass
make a suggestion, why don't we, and we'll hear from Leslie, but why don't we jump to capital and see how far we get there, and then maybe we can come back to DPW, but I would really like to be out of here by 10, frankly.
We're getting out of here by 9.
I know, well, I don't think we're getting out of here by 9, and actually, we should stop at like 10, quarter to, and talk about if we need additional meetings in the schedule. What do you, go ahead, Les.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to wrap this up, the one thing that I'm hearing is that we need more information, based on, there have been a lot of things thrown out, but I think what we need to look at is what contracts have we signed, what contracts haven't we signed, where can we make cuts, and where can we reduce service, and what are our options? Not that we're pitting ourselves to one solution or another, just to know the options and what we're locked into and what we're not. So,
And we did get a
That's a good
list,
summary.
and we did get a
some, yeah.
list of the starting places. Is that list?
Oh.
I didn't bring my whole binder tonight, so. Or
Yeah,
was
there's,
it?
well, turn off streetlights, I think we can forget.
Oh,
about.
every-
Yeah, we got rid of that one.
Yeah, there are some here. Eliminate snow patrol, I think that, make it route.
Do we have lists like when you could end them?
We don't have the start and end date. Do you wanna share?
Yeah.
Here's a study.
Can I just say something real quick about your leaf collection, when you guys think about it? If you start it later in the season, I know what you're talking about with the draft, don't forget now, the leaves are gonna be in the road, and when it rains, now you're gonna have sewer backup. They were gonna be getting called all night to the hour,
Maybe they have to
so.
tag them or something during those first, I mean, it's so minimal.
With that, I'm just saying, something to think about when you were discussing the
Right.
time,
So
so.
people won't, they'll just let them blow all over
Right.
them, that's what I would do, if they're
I'll
lazy.
show you the chart, you guys can figure it out.
No, I know, but
Okay, so we do have some options here, but
You need
I
to
think-
re-summarize those in the framework of what dollar amount?
well, let's talk about capital and then come back, if that's okay with everybody. Mike, you've been very quiet, do you have something?
No, I'm
Page
just.
104 then, is that,
I'm waiting
Oh,
on.
what? Okay. Let's see, okay.
Page 104, trustee Mentos, is that correct?
Yes, who had some, okay, well, I mean, I'll just throw out there, squad 10 replacement. We bought 3 squad cars last year. Here's the 104.
Okay, are you gonna start
All
at
of
the
a
top?
sudden, these,
No, I was just throwing out ones that I had, oh yeah, I did, okay, let's just start with village-wide initiatives, that's a good one. What does everybody think? Oh, he's back, I can't cut a squad car one. I thought you
Not
were-
yet.
I thought you
Yeah, I
were-
already did, by the way, just so you
yeah,
know.
you did.
Cut one.
Yeah. There was 2 on our schedule. and-
What do you think if you stick it out and stay late?
No, but in all sincerity, on the capital, replacement
Yeah,
for the squads, there was 2 scheduled to be replaced this year, for 2019. And we cut down to just the 1 vehicle, which is currently the supervisor's vehicle and the oldest in the fleet.
How old? I'm sorry, I'm sure it's in here somewhere,
Yeah, I don't know the exact date.
I think it was 4 years.
Yeah, cause the,
No, it's, I think, could be longer than that, I don't know.
2014.
So 4 years.
5.
Is there any way we can get mileage on some of these? I mean, if it's at 30,000 miles, I know you said that standing idle also wears on the car, I get that. But that would really help. I mean, even for the, when you say you can sell it and you can, it's a 4-year-old car and we're selling it and you get like 1,000 back, which is fine, but, I just would like to know mileage.
We
That's
can
all.
provide it, but I would strongly advise that you do not make your vehicle replacement decisions based on mileage.
Well, if we wanted to stretch them out, is there another factor that we could consider?
It's the age and the hours of operations, much more so than the mileage.
So maybe that's the third, those columns would be wonderful.
Well, I guess, is there a feeling on the board that you could delay it now? I mean, cause then you wouldn't have to make staff get that.
Yep.
If the will of the board is to delay
Oh,
the
squad.
squad.
Squad 10.
What happens in next year?
Right,
You're
unless
just
you make
putting
it,
off and you're not,
Well, next year, 3-year scheduled, so this would be a 4th.
where's the schedule on that?
It's page 183 at the top.
we're gonna be in the same situation every year, so that's why I thought about this a lot, and what other factor can you consider, because at some point, unless we, we're talking about delaying road reconstruction,
Right, I
it's
think
the
we're gonna
same.
be, the reality is I think we're gonna be delaying
I
everything.
think we're gonna be stretching it out,
And I
I'd like
guess
to
I would like
have,
to do it in the most efficient manner.
Right.
If we're just agreeing, like, let's just push everything, like, stretch everything out, then we don't have to get all these numbers and factors. I know it can be informed, but if essentially that's where we're kinda
I see
going,
what you're saying, yeah.
it doesn't seem like we need to make it like a science. We're basically saying like,
yeah,
Shift the schedule.
Just sometimes-
shift it all by
Yeah.
2 years. or
sometimes though, we
2
don't go
years
by
on
the
one.
schedule necessarily, like the police just said, because we will delay even off that if we stretched it out. And when those come to me, I would like to know how
Oh,
they're
I'm
different.
not saying that we
right?
shouldn't adopt that moving forward, but I didn't know if
Sure.
you meant for this consideration,
Well, on village-wide initiatives, these are things we all talked about in prioritization.
What's the river trail plan? I don't know.
It's the
if we really-
resource management.
I mean, we're doing a lot of plan, we packed in, every plan we asked for?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that hit me like on
It
this list,
was-
is this parking,
That's
it's
a
like
big
200,000, the 2 plans or
I
something.
know, it's a big
It's a
number.
big number, and it's, when you got this big a hole, it's a big number,
Isn't it-
178,000.
Where
Oh,
are
no,
you?
it's 100 and,
Where are you?
right here on this
No,
list,
they're like-
195,000.
Oh, that's
I thought it
he's
was
saying
90,000.
He's saying the total for all.
Total.
Oh, for all of
studies.
them, I see what you're saying, yeah, the transportation parking was our number one priority, so I don't wanna go revisit this, like,
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's a big,
It's
it's
a
like the
big number.
it's a big
eliminating the
number,
night
and
park,
there's
it's
only
a quarter million.
15,000 for parking, and so I read the details, and it's like, 75 for transportation and 15 for parking, I could give you a scope that's way more than that. So anyways, I agree with you if you're talking about the total, I just don't wanna rehash over which one's more important right now.
Well, I don't either, but maybe we can't afford to look at that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm considering. Is
They
that
have to cut one. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like, we could go to the ones that had the least priority.
Well, my question on the police building completion options for 65,000,
Why is that?
yeah, I mean, are we I mean, I know we're probably talking both the garage and the community space, correct?
So Riley will be here next week, and what that entails is, if you remember correctly, we discussed in the, bond, or the, what's the word on it, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Initiatives.
No,
Bid?
Design?
capital improvements for 2019.
Oh my god.
In that meeting for the capital improvements for 2019, June, July, we discussed the building, that phase of the building. And part of that was, is if you remember, Riley was not sure on the exact number. And so based upon that discussion, what came out of that was, let's get a better design, get the information that we need so we can properly.
Give us a number on the
Correct,
garage.
and so that's 63,000 is from Riley to do all those studies. He'll be here on Monday, and you can drill him on that cost.
That seems very high
You could
for
talk
a
to him.
design.
$3,000 just to tell us about a garage.
It's four
I
walls
mean,
and a ventilation system, I mean, I know
And a
there's a little bit
drain.
more, but
there's a drain.
it's not like you're rearranging
Oh,
walls.
right, but he's saying that's the number they gave him.
Okay.
We just-
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we can, yeah.
We'll give him a hard time.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can see the scope, I mean, we're re-engineering down the scope for fire, so.
See if it's
I-
just the messenger.
Yeah, you can attack him.
No, I'm just saying, like, let's figure out how you would reduce that number, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know.
Okay,
I don't
maybe
know.
just provide us with the scope,
Oh,
you know, or we're gonna hear that, right?
I don't know.
Yep. I told
Okay,
him
so the
first.
River Trail plan, I think, is what Mike was talking about, is as how to maintain. We've done this, and how, we need a plan for maintaining and keeping it from falling down into the lovely path we've built.
Being, yeah,
Do
that
we
there are,
need a consultant?
what's that?
Do we need a consultant?
I
this
think
year?
that's,
That's part of the.
I'm just really asking.
Preliminary management plan with the plan said, once you're done, you should then have some, do it, re-inventory what's there, and develop a plan that you use to manage and remove the invasives and keep the bluffs stable.
I guess
And
what I'm
then-
asking is,
and
can
maybe
we,
use
if,
volunteers.
if we did that in
I
two
could move
thousand,
that to 10-3.
No.
I still think it's a lot, that's fine, thank you, but I still think it's a lot of planning that we're doing, we're tackling in 1 year. If it's not a big deal, that's fine, but it does involve a consultant, it's gonna involve an RFP, it's gonna involve, so I'm just wondering if it's if it's not the biggest of our initiatives that we achieve consensus on. So I'm just wondering if it can be done, is it imperative that it get done, or else nothing can you know, will it fall down, will we not be able to maintain it?
it's the invasives, that there are,
Okay.
there are significant number of, species of native plants that could be, you know, lost, basically, because it hasn't been managed for years and years and years. So it's similar,
Okay.
but then you are then getting into a responsibility, a commitment that we've made at Atwater Bluff, where it is a little bit of money every year to make sure that you're making the right progress. So it is a commitment. So to do a
Okay.
plan, then it is a commitment that has a fiscal impact.
So right now, I don't I'm sorry, I'm
And
just
can
not.
I also add that there's been some erosion issues, and, you know, we did these plantings and we made this path, and I don't know if you've actually been on it, but there was a lot of rain this spring, and so, you know, I think there's, now maybe we don't need a plan to know what to do, maybe we already know what to do to keep the bluff from falling down, but,
I think that was my point, yeah.
But
It's
I
not
think
like
it's- I
maintenance,
think
but
it's-
more of just maybe stretching.
I don't know, I frankly think we need all of these things, I'm not into, I wouldn't support cutting any of the 4 of them, but I don't know how do other people feel.
For the police building, I would not wanna authorize $65,000 for a design, so I'll wait for that conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm interested to know what that $65,000 entails.
Is it just the garage and
Well, and why that plan is so expensive.
In the top two, we've spent so much time prioritizing, and it seems like the whole board is consensus on those two, so I certainly don't wanna cut the top two.
I don't either, but I would like staff to just look at that allocation, and maybe I can provide to staff, maybe send it to the board, but of the things that over the 3 years, I think need to go into that study, We just haven't talked about that, so I feel like 15,000 of that allocation of 90 might be low.
Okay.
You might have to shift.
Okay, so if we move the 10,000 to take 3, we'll get another 10. Okay.
And Rebecca, you're okay with undertaking that many studies in 1 year? I know we didn't finalize our work plan.
Yeah, we didn't finalize our work plan.
So that's why I'm asking you. Give us your input, please.
For purposes of tonight, I think that we need to move on to talking about some other items, but I think that we need to come back to these and ask and take a look at which ones we can realistically accomplish.
That's what
I mean, you're talking about your first two, I mean, they're all, I'm not saying that any of them are not important, but, you know, I would agree that the top two are what came from your review, unless you wanna revisit that. You know, but from when we talked about initiatives, I mean, the entire night we've sat here, we've talked about, you know, the composition of the organization and what that does on services.
So I'm asking the perspective from the administration, which I've asked before, I really am asking it. Do you think the top two, those two, is enough that your staff can handle? Or we need your input on operationally, how much you can achieve, because we don't wanna, the last thing we wanna do is overburden staff.
Well, I think the top two are gonna be more than enough.
I do too.
Because I think even if you do an organizational review, you're gonna be getting a barometer about the organization overall. But, you know, for example, if you're gonna take a deep dive on public works and really get into it, there's no, and I'm not saying the board really get into it, but there's no way to really do the work and actually doing the work. And it's gonna take several months in order to do that. You have incredibly talented people who are sitting in this room who felt it was important enough to come out and spend some quality time with us on Monday night, which I'm appreciative of, but there's, you know, like if we say we have to give it if it's important enough to look at in the manner of what you're talking about, it's important enough to give the time to learn, yeah, I say that's selfish maybe for me, but to learn enough about it, because sometimes it's not as simple, to Dave Quincy's point, you know, of moving back leaves, all the things. And in public works, you know, one of the benefits I think about our department is that we do have a lot of functionality in the way that we've cross-trained in some areas, and that's really valuable. But at the same time, you know, it does become a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. You know, just listening, this is just observation, because you know, Mike, on the River Trail plan, I referenced you because I know you're passionate about it, and to be very honest with you, I am too. However, you know, as we talk about the plans that we develop, we also have to be cognizant of the maintenance that's required in order to maintain them. You know, bioswales would be another example. You know, it's one of the great things about being here, right? You know, we have a board, a policy group who's very excited to try new initiatives, and it's exciting to work on. But there's also a counterbalancing point, you know, where we say we're gonna have to prioritize and say what's most important right now.
And
I just wanna say too about the organizational review. I mean, I can see that being really enlightening and helpful, and I can see it also being not. So I think there needs to be a lot of thought in how that RFP is developed and what we're really asking and what information we really wanna get. So I'm a little,
Well, and
yeah.
it's a stressor. Let's throw that out there. I mean, I think that's also one of the reasons why, you know, I think that there needs to be care and communication with everybody. Like, we're all in this together. There's not, I mean, it only works if we're gonna approach it in that way. And I guess from my perspective, I would recommend that you do it in that thoughtful way. Because it's not only what are you including in it, but what are the results that you wanna have out, and how are we gonna be communicating with them.
So saying that, thank you, my concern, and I'm thinking you're saying that you have a concern, is if we spent, I mean, even agenda time, we don't have enough time to talk about the majority of the things we wanna do. I mean, think about how our agendas go long, so I just wanna, and then we're gonna have budget workshops, and I mean, we have a lot on our plate next year. Yes, it's more internal, it's not sexy, the residents don't see it as much, because it's planning, and that stinks, but, you gotta take the time to do it. So my concern was
What?
not necessarily the money, but do the time and how much we can dedicate for complete.
My apologies, I didn't answer your question.
That's okay.
So your number one priority, in my professional opinion, should be your organizational review.
Yeah, but our number one priority from prioritization was transportation and parking.
Right, I understand. You were kind enough to ask, so I wanted to make sure that I was.
No, but that
complete in
wasn't
my
the question
response.
though. I mean, the question was, can you do both? I've asked that all through prioritization, how much, I just don't know the staff level of the staff time, and you were saying we need to take the time. What, are you just saying one?
I think that the organizational review should be your top priority. Transportation and parking, to be quite honest with you, I've never, seen, and Bart, maybe you can weigh in, but I've never seen a community do a full-wide transportation review on everything.
I mean, I haven't personally, but I mean, it is a smaller square footage than I've
Okay, but now we're
used to, but-
rehashing what we thought was a priority based on.
No,
I
I
just wanna
heard-
know,
I heard the board very clearly in prioritization that those were the top two. I'm saying over the two,
but can we accomplish both? That's the question, it's not, which one do you prefer, it's, can the
Well,
staff
I mean, there's a lot of
execute?
18 that we haven't accomplished and we probably won't accomplish as this capital budget. So
That's
we
my
can put
question.
But we can put the money in here, and if we're halfway through the study, we just carry over the funds into 2020. I mean, we're putting the money in. Okay, what about, one I thought, and Sarah's
So are
probably
we
gonna
keeping
give.
in the other two, or are we
Well,
sticking with two?
I would think when we get to the list of, if you wanna get to 2%, you may need like this 90,000 on the table.
Okay, let's
So
put it on the
I
list.
think you can
Let's
maybe
put it
get
on the
just to get
list.
to your two-
I wanna
zero
put on the
to-
list document management software.
What?
$50,000 document management software. I mean, I definitely think if we're doing organizational review and transportation parking software, we're not gonna have time to do document management software on top of that. Cause that's a big,
It's big.
now I'm
No,
getting,
it's
now I'm
big.
getting the evil eye
No,
from
it's
Sarah. Well,
It's
big and
It's big and it's a lot.
and it's gonna involve lots of pieces and places and people.
My one suggestion is if you take it off the table for this year, you wouldn't re-look at it till 2021. So I could not achieve it in a 4-year election at all.
Oh.
I understand.
Okay.
Can I
Could
ask
we
about,
do